You are sailing in the middle of the ocean. The sky is clear, the sea is calm, and suddenly it appears. A creature so massive it makes the prehistoric megalodon look like a minnow. Welcome to the mysterious world of the Kraken, an ancient sea monster that has terrified sailors for centuries. Could the Kraken really be hiding in the depths of our oceans? Could it be even larger than we ever imagined? Today we're diving deep into the chilling stories of real-life Kraken sightings that will make you question everything you thought you knew about the ocean's most terrifying giants. Hans Egede, a Danish-Norwegian missionary, is one of the earliest known people to have reported a sighting of a massive sea creature that many believe could have been the Kraken. Imagine you're sailing through the icy waters off the coast of Greenland in 1734. The sea is vast and cold, and the world beneath you is a mystery. On a chilly July day, as Egede's ship cut through the foggy waters, something strange appeared on the horizon. At first it was just a dark shape against the grey expanse of the sea, but as it moved closer, he and his crew realized that they were staring at something otherworldly. What he saw he later described in his journal as the most terrible creature, one that was unlike anything they had ever seen before. The creature, according to Egede, was longer than the ship itself. This was already terrifying, but what really set this creature apart was its head. Rising up from the depths, it towered above the waterline, and Egede described it as being higher than the crow's nest. This thing had a head that loomed over the highest point of their ship. The sailors were terrified, and honestly, who could blame them? This wasn't some mythological beast from a storybook. This was a living, breathing monster staring them down in the flesh. And while Egede's description might sound more like a giant sea serpent than the traditional Kraken, the creature's sheer size and the fear it struck into the hearts of the crew fit perfectly with the stories of giant sea monsters that sailors had been whispering about for centuries. Egede's encounter was more than just a story to tell around the fire, it became a part of the growing legend of the Kraken, a creature said to be so enormous that it could pull entire ships down to the ocean floor with its tentacles, or create massive whirlpools just by submerging itself. So, was it a Kraken, a sea serpent, or something else entirely? We may never know for sure, but one thing is for sure. Hans Egede's encounter with this most terrible creature has kept many people fascinated with the mysteries of the deep sea for nearly 3 centuries. Erik Pontoppidan, the Bishop of Bergen in Norway, wrote about the Kraken in his 1755 book, The Natural History of Norway. He collected numerous accounts from sailors and fishermen who claimed to have seen a monstrous creature in the waters around Norway. Pontoppidan described the Kraken as an enormous octopus-like beast with tentacles that could reach the top of the ship's mast, and an overall size so vast that it could be mistaken for an island. According to his accounts, when the Kraken submerged, it caused a dangerous whirlpool that could capsize ships. One of the more famous modern sightings occurred in 1861 when the French naval ship Alecton encountered a large, unidentified sea creature off the coast of Tenerife in the Canary Islands. The crew described the creature as having a large, elongated body and multiple tentacles. The sailors tried to capture the beast by firing cannonballs and harpoons at it, but they could not bring it aboard. And honestly, would you really want to? The creature reportedly thrashed about violently before disappearing into the depths. Some historians suggest that this might have been an encounter with a giant squid, but the sailors' dramatic descriptions have only fueled the Kraken legend. In 1875, a British schooner named Pearl reported encountering a giant sea creature near the St. George's Bank off the coast of Newfoundland. The crew described a massive tentacled creature that surfaced and moved around the ship. According to the sailors, the creature was larger than their vessel and had long snake-like arms that whipped the water into a frenzy. The crew managed to avoid the creature, thankfully, but their terrifying account spread quickly, adding to the Kraken mythology. While not directly citing a Kraken, the 1978 incident involving the USS Stein, a US Navy destroyer, is often cited in Kraken discussions. The ship, while on patrol in the Pacific suffered mysterious damage to its sonar dome. Upon investigation, the dome was found to be covered in long, razor-sharp cuts, some of which contained remnants of what appeared to be giant squid beaks. This led some to speculate about a giant squid attack, but the sheer size of the damage sparked rumors of a much larger creature, perhaps even a kraken-like beast. I'm not going to say it was the Kraken, but it was the Kraken. In 1802, a sighting off the coast of Angola was reported by the first officer of the British ship Brunswick. The officer described seeing a gigantic creature while the ship was sailing in calm waters. According to his account, the beast was nearly 200 feet long, had a body as wide as the Brunswick, and featured long, writhing tentacles that seemed to encircle the vessel. The officer's vivid description included the creature having, quote, an immense number of arms, and it was said to have swam around the ship for several minutes before disappearing. While some skeptics believed that this could have been an exaggeration or misidentification of a whale or group of giant squids, the sighting was reported in the newspapers of the time, fueling the myth of the Kraken. Also, I'm not like a marine biologist, but I don't think that giant squids hang out in groups. I don't know. I'm just hypothesizing over here. Science time. Okay. In 1857, a Danish ship, the Pauline, reportedly encountered a massive sea creature near Greenland. Okay, we're back in Greenland, and the time is pretty close. It's kind of weird. The captain claimed that a gigantic squid-like monster attacked his vessel. He described the creature as having an enormous gelatinous body with long tentacles that appeared to rise from the depths and attempt to coil around the ship's hull. The captain and his crew managed to fend off the creature using axes and poles, causing it to retreat back into the ocean. This incident, well documented in Danish maritime records, was one of the first to specifically describe a giant squid-like animal with kraken-like features. Reverend George Thomas, a British clergyman, provided one of the most detailed 19th century accounts of a kraken-like creature. While traveling aboard the merchant vessel Encounter in 1873, he reported sighting an enormous sea creature off the coast of Sri Lanka. Thomas described it as having a large, bulky body resembling an island, with tentacles that were dozens of feet long. He claimed the creature surfaced and then dived back down into the water, creating a whirlpool that rocked the Encounter. Thomas's account was widely circulated in British newspapers and added to the growing mythos of sea monsters during the era. While not a Kraken sighting in the tentacle sense, the famous 1848 sea serpent sighting by the crew of the HMS Daedalus has often been associated with the Kraken myth due to the immense size of the creature. The captain and his officers described seeing a long, serpent-like creature in the South Atlantic Ocean. The creature was reported to be at least 60 feet long, with a large head and neck that rose above the water. Its presence and size were so startling that they believed it could easily capsize a smaller vessel, evoking comparisons to the Kraken's ability to drag ships to the depths. This account, which was officially reported to the British Admiralty, contributed to Victorian-era fears of unknown sea monsters. In the 1930s, New Zealand fishermen reported seeing a massive sea creature engage in a battle with a sperm whale near the Chatham Islands. The fishermen claimed the creature was an enormous squid, far larger than any he had ever seen before, with tentacles reaching lengths that exceeded the sperm whale's body. The squid reportedly wrapped its tentacles around the whale in a fierce struggle. Although some historians believe that this was likely an encounter with a giant or colossal squid, both of which were known to fight sperm whales, I guess, the scale of the creature described led many at the time to speculate about the existence of even larger, kraken-like creatures lurking in the ocean's depths. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I will see you again soon, I'm sure.